1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
That's fine. Doesn't matter anyways.
Who knows? Are you in the zone for this today?
Probably not yet.
The advice provided on this podcast is general advice only. All statements made are considered by the participants to be accurate, but accuracy cannot be guaranteed. It has been prepared without taking into account your objectives, financial situations, or needs. All participants in this podcast, including guests, may have a financial interest in any or all of the products or services mentioned. Before acting on this advice, you should consider the appropriateness of the advice, having regard to your own objectives, financial situations, and needs. If any private products are detailed on this podcast, you should obtain a product disclosure statement relating to the products and consider its contents before making any decisions. Where quoted, past performance is not indicative of future results.
Recorded September 8th, 2017. It's the Money Path Podcast with Bob Iacchino and Mike Arnold, founders of Path Trading Partners. On episode 88, The What and the Why is sponsored by MotiveWave. Go to pathtradingpartners.com and download your 14-day free trial. So let's join Bob and Mike with a casual conversation of news and the markets.
Yeah, so guys, just before we get started, just on behalf of myself and Mike and Stafford and whole Path Trading Partners, Money Path Podcast, if anyone is struggling out there with Irma or past losses from Harvey, whether physical or human, earthquake in Mexico, any of that, please just know that we're thinking about you guys and stay as safe as you can.
And Mike, what's the Star Wars news?
What kind of transition was that? I think that's a natural disaster too, probably, because episode 9 loses its director. So that was, and with that, Disney stock plunges. No, the Disney stock plunges under guidance this week, back below 100. So, still looking to fill a gap back from last November. There's a gap that could still be filled, trading down to 95, so we can watch for that longer term. But Disney's stock not one that looking to touch anytime soon. What are they officially? Have they officially now ruined Star Wars?
Yeah, it's broken. It's just broken. The first one was going to be like the Han Solo movie. The second one was going to be that's coming out as the Luke movie, and the third one that lost the director is the Leia movie. And unfortunately, we don't have Leia anymore. So, yeah, it's completely broken. Not interested.
Well, yeah, but you haven't been interested in Star Wars since Lucas, so. By the way, Disney stock did trigger about 5 weeks ago, triggered a nice trendline trade into a clear path with the target that goes down to 90. I'll give you the exact target price for the full trade on that. It goes down to 93.77.
Nice.
So we're at 97.01 right now. There's still doesn't have to go there instantly. We went sideways for a couple weeks and then got the rotation zone catch up. So again, but that is the full target on that weekly trend line trade for Disney.
Yes, and as the Emperor said in Return of the Jedi, everything is happening as I have foreseen. Speaking of foreseen, something that's coming. This is the greatest thing in the world is coming, isn't it?
What's the greatest thing?
It's going to replace all those range finders at Home Depot.
What, the new iPhone?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What is that?
With this infrared sensor, supposedly you can measure the size of a room. Every corner,
wow, that's
every
cool.
angle. It's going to put those things out of business at Home Depot.
Is this just going to be on the super duper fan dangled one, like the $1,200 or $1,000 one, or is it going to be on all of the new ones coming out?
It's probably I don't know. I do not know. The big restriction is they only have Samsung to buy the OLED screen from, and Apple is freaking out because depending on Samsung, who is a serious competitor for Apple, for their only screen, it puts this thing in. It's going to be in supply constraints. I would say till February.
Okay. What other new features is this? This is coming out. They're going to announce it next Tuesday on the 12th, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
What else are they going to... What other fun things have you heard? Because...
it has a much bigger battery. It has a stacked wafer motherboard to make that bigger battery. Those are good things. It's supposedly going to be stainless steel all the way around, so it will be quite strong. It's using Gorilla 5 glass, the new ionic fused glass, which is great. Has dual infrared sensors. Supposedly it can shoot 4K in the front and 4K in the back. And...
But my Apple TV can't display 4K yet.
Yes, and supposedly that is also going to be released at the event next week, is Apple's 4K TV.
I got to upgrade my Apple TV again?
No, they'll actually make a TV.
Oh, they're releasing a TV?
Oh, maybe they won't. Maybe it will just be a box. Nobody knows. This is kind of going under the radar.
Okay, well, I think it's just going to be another box. There's no way they're releasing a TV. Maybe they could buy it through Samsung. There's my strategy. And is that all on the Apple update?
Yep.
Cool. Here's another one, Bob. For IPOs, Roku's now filing for $100 million IPO.
Wow.
So there's your cord cutting update. Roku's going for the IPO, raised up to $100 million. The company will be listed on the NASDAQ under the ticker Roku. So this is all. Roku is the number one streaming device out there. Sorry, Apple and Apple TV. So you got to have a Roku, and now it's going to be IPO. I wonder if that will fare better than the more recent IPOs.
So here's something interesting I found about cord cutting that I've learned after cutting the cord, is that I used to watch way too much TV. Like, I haven't replaced even half of what I used to watch. And after a while, just like when I got off personal Facebook, I don't care. I don't miss any of it. I really don't. Like, once it gets out of your system in terms of the addiction of that stuff, I used to come home every day, turn on the TV. And there was always something that I would watch. And I remember thinking that I couldn't get by without this stuff. And since I cut the cord and just kind of have these couple of critical channels, like, I want to watch the Bears game this weekend and some certain specific sports and documentaries and stuff. Man, you don't need any of this stuff. It's great.
I'm with you there.
My big challenge with the cord cutting is I max out my data plan on my internet. So
my problem with cord cutting is after I cord cut, I can't plug anything in because I cut all the cords.
Oh boy, you had to go there. Really? There's the sigh of the week.
Did you just do a Jerry Lewis impersonation back there? Hey, lady.
And now,
rest in peace, Jerry Lewis. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
For more cord-cutting news, T-Mobile, the carrier that's growing probably the most rapidly of all of them, they're announcing next week, I think on the 12th again, so the 12th is a big day, but they're offer free Netflix with the family plan. So anybody who's on the T-Mobile family plan gets, they'll cover the $9.99 fee for your Netflix subscription, and if you have a higher fee Netflix subscription, they will cover $9.99 of it, and then you just pay the difference. So if you have the $11.99 plan, they will be doing that because they unlimited data on their network, so they feel that they can handle it, and they're going after the AT&T, which offered to their top tier. Like, if you got their top tier program, they offered free HBO. So they're like, but this is pretty much everybody's on a family plan now with T-Mobile unlimited stuff. So as long as you have a 2-line family plan, you're good to go.
And in other news, Disney pulled out all the Marvel and Star Wars movies from Netflix last week.
All gone?
All gone. Disney's completely bailing from the Netflix deal. They can't get them on Netflix.
Well, that's not a loss if it's Star Wars, is it? Because they've ruined it.
This announcement has not helped T-Mobile stock as of yet.
They're stuck, let's see.
That's in a horizontal channel, but it's on like a 5-day downswing.
Yeah, it's what they run up to high 68.88. They're down back to 63.26. I'd only get concerned about their stock if they get a close below. This is on a weekly basis, a close below 59.13, which is a defining point for our trend line. And then that would also take it below the 50 week moving average. So not much tradable there now. That would be my warning sign for T-Mobile. Mm-hmm. What others good? Amazon. Oh, I heard. Did you hear that Amazon's wants cities to bid for its new headquarters?
I did hear that.
And Chicago's going to bid? I don't know.
With what?
So.
Well, it is interesting. I mean, Chicago landed Google. I don't know how that happened.
Well, we'll see. You think they're going to land Amazon?
I think because Google is here, they actually have a shot.
Really?
Yeah. So I know some things about the Google deal. Like I know some of the reason why Google is here, and that has a lot to do with the piece of property that they ended up doing a 100-year lease on. But yeah, I think they could end up with a similar type of deal, although I believe Amazon needs quite a bit more land mass. Not sure where they would get that here.
I don't know, but you're taking a bid, so I wonder how many tax breaks. So like, hey, you don't have to pay any taxes you're the only company in Chicago who doesn't have to pay taxes, so that'll be. Maybe that'll.
Chicago does land these things. It's weird. I mean, when they landed Boeing like 10 years ago, whenever that was, they do end up landing a few of these, and I think it's part of the reason they're in fiscal trouble. Because they probably give away the farm.
Yeah, like they give away parking meter rights for 100 years.
Right? Right? French are making the money.
Yeah, really smart. So, yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see where the headquarters goes, but,
Really funny thing about politics, man. The guy in office does the lease, and then he leaves for the parking. He gets all that money up front.
Yep.
Comes close to balancing the budget, and then he leaves.
Then he leaves around the major issues for the next 100 years.
Yep.
Gotta love politicians.
Anyway, probably temporary, but trying to watch the effects of this Equifax breach on stocks like Amazon. Because there's a psychological play where people actually get nervous about going online when something like this happens. Even though, like, if you've ever shopped at Amazon, it's gone already. But there's always a little bit of an effect on an Amazon and to a certain degree a Walmart now.
Yeah, what's Equifax stock doing right now? I know it was down. Did you want to talk about what?
Go ahead, Mike. I know saw their stock earlier this morning. It was pretty bad.
EQUI, Equifax. I forgot their sig. It's not Equifax. EFX.
Yeah.
Is it like 40% of Americans? Something like that?
143 million potentially affected.
For the same people that are supposed to protect your stuff.
Right. I mean, they're a credit reporting agency. Wow, down 13.25% right now. They've rallied. It's rallied.
They've come back a bit. They were down to a low of 117.25. They're back to 123. So, but they tested some pretty critical support areas. So they were essentially hacked, and it was back in July.
Mm-hmm.
and then you had 3 bigwigs at the company sell a lot of stock.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a problem. You had some insiders selling prior to this news being released.
I want to know why these companies. So it was just released like yesterday. So they knew they were hacked back, obviously, because some big guys are selling stock. Like, they knew they were hacked, and this is back in July, and people's information was exposed. And now it's September 7th when they announced it.
Yep.
So what you did? You were unaware that your information could have been compromised for like a month and a half or something?
Yep.
Isn't there any fiduciary responsibility for these companies to say, especially somebody like Equifax that has your social security number and everything, like, you guys, we're compromised. You might want to set up monitoring stuff and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly when laws are written, a year after the fact. Like, they're still not even letting everybody know. Like, they haven't released to the people who's affected yet. So, I mean, the news comes out, and, I mean, it's out for hours, and they knew for a while, as Mike just mentioned, and they're still not responding to people when they're trying to find out if their personal data has been accessed. They're not responding.
I'm going to have to ruin my credit before someone else does.
That's the strategy?
Yeah, I'm not going to let nobody ruin my credit.
Equifax Inc. asked customers to go to a special website to find out whether they were one of the unfortunate victims. When trying the site, however, many seem to be getting no actual response to that question.
Are we sure that's a real Equifax site, or maybe that's been hacked already? So you're putting it more pure.
The website called Equifax EFX, set up specifically to respond to the massive breach, is giving users 3 answers: yes, probably not, or no answer at all.
What? This is not acceptable. I'm putting my foot down.
Attaboy.
Attaboy, that's your response.
That's my response. Attaboy.
Attaboy. I just did a was I hacked Equifax thing and find out. All right, find out if you were one of the 143 million hacked.
It doesn't tell you to enter your social security number.
Wait, I'm trying to find. This is the site.
Enter your social security number, your bank routing number, and your mother's maiden name.
What? What? Wait. Head to the enrollment page. All right. Incident and important consumer schedule, enroll, activate. What we know. You'll be asked to provide your last name and last 6 digits of your social security number.
No.
So I'm supposed to trust them with that information.
Exactly.
Oh.
No, I'm not doing it.
Why is this?
Is there any hope down the road 5 years from now for digital sales? Or is it going to be one of those things where we advance as far as we've advanced in terms of like Amazon dropping crap off with a drone? At some point, there's going to be a thing where in order to spend money, you have to like put your iris into a machine so they can read your pupil in order for them to actually be able to access your funds.
Oh, I don't know.
It's going to come full circle.
It's going to come full circle.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or you just use cryptocurrencies.
Well, it's that they got hit today. We'll have to get to that, but they got hit.
We'll get to that.
Off more China announced, more China babbling, but we'll get to that after we finish up with Fraud Corner with Equifax. Oh, sort of speaking of Fraud Corner, tying in with Sports and Wearable Corner. You like Fraud Corner and Sports and Wearable Corner.
That's not fraud. That's cheating.
Well, come on, I'm putting it in cheating, and come on, it's a tie.
Okay, all right.
Give it to me. The Red Sox reportedly use Apple Watches to steal Yankees signals. The league has determined that the Boston Red Sox cheated in numerous games against the New York Yankees, who filed a complaint, and other teams by using Apple Watch to relay the hand signals that catchers and pitchers use to communicate intended pitches. Investigators learned that Red Sox trainers receive signals from video replay staff and use a smartwatch to quietly relay the info to the team. Now, it's illegal to watch. It's not illegal to watch hand signals, so you can steal signals, but you can't use technology to relay the information.
So
right, technically you can't. Go ahead, Stafford, I'm sorry.
They would see the hand signals and then, like, talk to Siri and say, send a text message? Is that what they were doing?
No, I don't know exactly. Or they just, maybe they had the auto responses programmed in, like... with the
app?
No, like you can have canned responses on your Apple Watch, right? So you could program in. Maybe I have 10 canned responses based off the hand signal and the pitch type, and then I just go to message and hit the auto response. I want to say response 3, and everybody knows what response 3 is. It means if you put down 3 fingers, it's now going to be a fastball.
I'm sorry. This is digital hand signals to me. I think it's not a foul.
In baseball rules, the issue comes in. You can steal signals for yourself, but you can't transmit them to other players or your coaches or anything like that. So that's why, the umpires are really careful about when a batter is he's staring at the pitcher. He has no idea when the ball's coming, so it's very hard for him to look down and look at the catcher's fingers, right? But if a guy is on second base after hitting a double, there's been instances where games have been stopped because the pitcher and the umpire and all that are trying to figure out if the guy on second is trying to somehow relay to the guy up to bat what the next pitch is going to be based on the catcher. And they've actually stopped games. There was one recently where a pitcher actually turned to the guy on second base and said, and you could read his lips because there's video of it, where he said, "You keep stealing signals. Next time you're up, I'm going to drill you in the head." Because the umpire didn't agree that he was doing it, but the pitcher thought he was doing it. So the rule breach comes in when they transmit them in any way. So I'm guessing the Apple Watch is easy because, the manager doesn't have to hold a phone up to his face and read it. He just kind of glanced down at his wrist. I don't know.
Hey, this is another way Apple has disrupted the wearable space.
Apple ruins everything. And Disney.
Now, if you have Apple somehow relaying how the next director that Disney should hire for their story, then we'd have something. We haven't had a drone and robot uprising or cool tech segment recently, but now we have Lilium receives $90 million to build electric flying taxis. The Lilium jet will be able to travel from London to Paris in 1 hour. So
wait, what?
This is a plane?
Electric flying taxis. I'm serious.
So 6 people? It's Jetsons.
The funding will be used to develop the company's 5-seat commercial Lilium jet, as well as grow the company's team of more than 70 people. As envisioned, a fully charged Lilium jet will be able to stay aloft for about an hour and travel at speeds in excess of 180 miles per hour. It will also have an on-demand feature where users can order the air taxi to a nearby landing pad. So this, and from the Lilium itself, quote, "This is next stage of a rapid evolution from an idea to the production of a commercially successful aircraft that will revolutionize the way we travel in and around the world's cities," CEO and co-founder of Lilium said in a statement.
Wow.
Are you going to be one of the... Lilium accepts the first functional crewed jet. So first it's going to start with crewed, C-R-E-W-E-D, not crude, C-R-U-D-E. But the first sort of manned jet to take off in 2019, and then the on-demand flight feature, which is sort of like autonomous, to go live in 2025.
I am happy to be one of the guinea pigs for that, but I only want to be on with daughter Judy and Jane, his wife. I'm imagining bubble glass cars from the Jetsons. flying from London to Paris, or what was London to Paris?
Yeah, that's London to Paris.
I'm imagining those saucers with the bubble glass on top. 6 people in it.
So, yeah, so that's the latest in the cool tech. Although are we being tracked by robots and Siri and Alexa and everything else? Breaking news on that.
Of course
Alexa and Siri are vulnerable to silent, nefarious commands. Researchers in China found a way to attack Siri, Alexa, and other voice assistants by feeding them commands at ultrasonic frequencies that are too high for humans to hear, but they're audible to microphones on your devices. With the technique, the researchers could get the AI assistants to open malicious websites and even your door if you had a smart lock connected.
My God.
So this is called a dolphin attack, where they translate the human voice commands into the ultrasonic frequencies over 20,000 hertz, then simply play them back for a regular smartphone equipped with an amplifier, ultrasonic transducer, and a battery. So about $3 worth of parts. And if your assistant's within range of this and hears it, it thinks the command's actually being spoken, so it does whatever it's told. So that's the new way, which I would have never come up to hack the voice assistants. Although there is good news, device makers could stop this hacking by programming the microphones to ignore commands over 20,000 kilohertz. And I'm not going to have a problem because my dogs, if they start getting ultrasonic frequencies, will start barking and go nuts. So I will
up the command.
No, they'll just. Once I see my Alexa flashing and my dog's going nuts, then I'm running to unplug it because somebody's going to unlock my door.
I'm very surprised there's an Alexa in your house.
Why?
I don't know. It just seemed like the kind of thing you would be creeped out by. Yeah, I'm creeped out.
I agree with you, Bob. It's highly irregular.
Man,
they are
completely creeped out by those voice assistants.
Well, I just had to play with it because it's cool tech. So how do I figure out what's going on with cool tech unless I play with cool tech?
It's definitely cool tech, but I think maybe I'm old school. I was at a friend's house recently, about a month ago, and he has Google. And, hey, Google, lower the volume, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, hey, Google, turn on the game. Hey, Google, turn on the NFL. And like the 3 or 4 commands he said that Google didn't really grab, I grabbed the remote and I switched it and I threw it at him. I said, how lazy are you right now? Just turn it on.
Well, I ask my Alexa, hey, Alexa, play this and play that and do this and do that. And it works pretty well. That means I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
I can instead focus on producing these wonderful show notes.
I just like having a device listening to me. I don't know.
It is sort of freaky.
It is sort of freaky, right?
But
I'm not even talking like conspiracy government stuff. It just creeps me out. Like, I'm always worried there's going to be a recording of me singing show tunes that shows up on the web somewhere.
I want to hear you sing show tunes.
You're never going to hear it.
Do you sing show tunes?
Unless you get me an Alexa for Christmas or something.
Well, now I know what I'm getting you for Christmas.
We did that in the first couple of shows, didn't we? Were we yelling to Mike's Alexa?
Yes.
You were trying to trigger it. Hey, Alexa, what's the weather?
Currently, 65 degrees with cloudy skies. Today, you can expect intermittent clouds with a high of 66 degrees and a low of 55 degrees.
Plus, I looked at the weather quicker than Alexa answered.
Ask it if any of that information goes to the CIA. I made Mike ask all these questions and stuff because on the internet, people can get the Alexa to shut down when you start interrogating the CIA.
Does any of my information go to the CIA?
Sorry, I don't know that.
What is the CIA? And it will tell
Alexa, what is the CIA?
The Central Intelligence Agency, the civilian foreign intelligence service of the U.S. government, tasked with gathering, processing, and analyzing national security information.
Alexa, will you lie to me?
Through the use of human intelligence.
Alexa, will you lie to me?
I don't lie. I'll always tell you what I know.
Does this information go to the CIA?
We're done.
I hear knocking at your doors, or is that marching with boots and guns?
See what I deal with all week, Bob?
I do like that she said, I don't know that.
I know, that's weird, isn't it?
That's very weird to me. Why wouldn't they program an answer that? No.
Because it
I
does.
guess because it... I mean, my God, that's so creepy.
What does Siri say when you ask it?
That's a good question. Hold on.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Okay. So we went through that. Can you give us a crude update, Bob? There should be a lot going on with crude. We have hurricanes, and as we talked about at the beginning of the show, what else is going on with crude?
What's funny, I mean, all this week we saw crude, kind of the crude trade unwinding, the Harvey trade unwinding, with crude rallying up. And today crude is actually down about 2%. And it's interesting now because a lot of it has to do with refinery utilization rates now. So every piece of data we get going forward is now hurricane affected, right? So in some cases, you got this in the case of like CONN, and a couple other stocks where they say now they have to lower guidance because of Harvey. And, some of it's an excuse and some of it's real. But what we're seeing now is utilization rates at refineries, which are also known as refinery runs, are down to like 77%, which is expected. 79.7, I think it was in the last piece of data, which is expected. It's down 17, 18% from where it was. But that now becomes the most important number, more so than crude oil draws and crude oil builds and gasoline draws and gasoline builds. The other thing is, in this week's EIA data, which came out on Thursday because of the Labor Day holiday, we saw the expected amount of crude oil draw or builds, but we saw a smaller than expected gasoline build. A lot of that has to do with gasoline being drawn out. As it wasn't being refined, it was drawn out of stockpiles. Now there's talk of gas stations rapidly running out of fuel in Florida. Most people in Houston hunkered down. They didn't necessarily drive away. In Florida, they're driving away. So there's actually gas shortages in Florida. A lot of Florida's gas arrives by barge from the other side of the Gulf Coast. And so those gas shortages are a real thing. So crude price now, if you have gas shortages, then you're going to have a build in both crude and gasoline coming up because the gas shortages are a spike in demand, but also it's not going to be able to be shipped. So that's what I think is happening with the decline we've got today. The reality is Hurricane Jose is right behind Hurricane Irma. Jose was ramped up to a Category 4, right? And if you look at the map, it's kind of freaky to see Irma and then see Irma's baby brother Jose. Looks like it's right behind it. So crude oil is going to be extremely unpredictable. Normally I have a stronger opinion than that, but crude oil is going to be extremely unpredictable over the coming weeks and months because of the effects of these. Lastly, we're not seeing a big effect on drilling at all from these storms. The Eagle Ford shut down about 500,000 barrels a day for a total of about a week, and they're right back up to where they were. And neither one of these two hurricanes are expected to hit anywhere on land that affects shale drilling. So that is crude corner.
Thank you very much. Jose's not expected to hit anything, though, like close to us.
No,
right?
It's following the exact path of Irma right now, but it's expected to veer off and stay out in the Atlantic.
All right. So there's...
But like right now, you watch it. Like if you watch it on NASA's website, for example, it's literally right behind it and following the same path. But it's supposed to veer off as the jet stream switches.
Well, that's good because I don't think it'd be good if you had back-to-back hits.
Yeah, that would be bad.
That would, in the realm of things, that would be bad. Yes. So, following up Crude Corner, electric and self-driving cars. Nissan announced their new Leaf is coming out as cheaper and can almost drive itself. They introduced a redesigned $29,990 Leaf with Pro Pilot, a hands-on semi-autonomous feature for heavy traffic. Now, the new Leaf, the one they're releasing next year, has a 150-mile range, and then they're going to up it the following year after that. But it is between the Model 3 and the Bolt, it's the cheapest ones, again, starting at that $29,900 level. It's also got single pedal driving, which means you can pretty much drive the car just with your gas pedal. So when you push it down, it accelerates. When you take your foot off, it starts slowing down. So,
wow, that's interesting.
Rolling out single, which a lot of people do on electric cars anyways, because when you release the pedal, it goes into regen mode. They're just making it now. We're sort of designing a whole feature around it and instructing people how to use it, and we're actually designing it for that purpose, which you pretty much drive with one pedal, called the e-pedal. So it's a straightforward system. To press the accelerator to speed up and release it to come to a full stop. Nissan says with the feature enabled, the car will stop and stay put even on a hill.
I wonder, I've experienced this a little bit with my car and the adaptive cruise, where it kind of is able to sense how fast it's supposed to brake. It's a nerve-wracking thing to get used to, though, I'm telling you. Very nerve-wracking as you're approaching an object and you want to slam on the brake and the car's doing it for you. It's very nerve-wracking. But I told you, that adaptive cruise control got me all psyched up for self-driving.
Very good. So, lots of crypto stuff this week. Crypto markets have been pretty volatile. We had, first off, on Monday, China came out and said all initial coin offerings should be stopped. They said the initial coin offerings are illegal and disrupt financial markets. According to a statement on the central bank's website, the PBOC also asked all related fundraising activity to be halted immediately, issuing the strongest regulatory challenge so far to the controversial for digital token sales, which we've talked about a lot. These are just ICO token sales, which have gotten to the point of sheer absurdity. So now we've also talked about in the past how the SEC is looking to crack down on these token sales, which are not the same as the cryptocurrencies. These are the offshoot where you can go into these initial coin offerings, back them, and translate some of that either into services or back into cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. But they're pretty much a fundraising mechanism for companies to raise money.
Are these like digital junk bonds?
Well, for a lot of these companies, yeah. Well, here you go. Over on Twitter, Paris Hilton backs crypto project. She was touting backing Lydian Coin. Lydian Coin from a company called Gravity 4. This advertising business claims to be the world's first AI big data marketing cloud, and is raising $100 million through the sale of Lydian tokens to finance the development of nothing.
Did they just use buzzwords when they created that statement? What did they say? AI digital marketing disruption? What did they say?
They actually...
What was the phrase again?
It is... Where is it? The world's first AI big data marketing cloud.
Yeah, they just used buzzwords. That's all they did. AI big data marketing cloud.
But you know what?
Buzzwords.
They're doing with the money? They're just putting it in the bank. Now, at some point, they think that you might be able to... They issued a white paper, which all these coin companies do. There are all these ICOs. You have to just have a white paper. So you really don't have to have a product. You just put out a white paper. The whole idea here is that people will pay for Lydian tokens and use them to buy advertising campaigns from Lydian Coin, which in turn licenses technology, products, and services from Gravity 4. The money won't be used for anything. It'll just sit there, conveying an enormous balance sheet liability to this ICO for... It's vapor. It's not even designed. They're just hopping on the hype. As you said, they're putting a bunch of words together, hoping, and they got Paris Hilton, and look, it's a coin offering. This is why so many of these coin offerings are utter crap.
Unbelievable.
And then when I tweeted you, was it yesterday? The ICO of the day: synthetic rhino horn erection pills on blockchain. Come on. So this is get another white paper, but they're looking to.
Hang on, that was real?
Yes.
That was
Syntheon
real
is
what you
selling
sent me.
synthetic rhino horn aphrodisiac tokenized on the Ethereum blockchain. I'm not making this up.
I'm hanging up.
Yeah,
I'm hanging up.
Viagra is still the king, in my opinion.
Mike, I thought you sent that to me as like, this is a funny. I thought that was from The Onion or something.
No, that's why I'm not. That's why these things have to be cracked down on. It's a problem with this is it brings really bad press and light to the legitimacy of certain cryptocurrencies. Okay?
Right.
But this is because people are tying them all together, and it's like, all right, well.
All right, can we do a YouTube video on this, Mike?
Yeah.
On some of these, can you put a bunch of these together and we'll do a video where we just tell people this is idiotic. This is idiotic.
Do you think this is an end run by international banks to do all this to discredit the crypto market and create a bad reputation?
Well, I'll say this is that there was plenty of head-on runs discrediting FX and binary options as they were becoming popular in the public. So I would say the government doesn't need to do it, or the banks don't need to do it. There's enough idiots out there that see these things, and I knew a guy involved in that kind of stuff. He wouldn't consider him a friend, and he certainly was not a coworker. But every time something came out, he'd be like, yeah, dude, binaries is the new forex. Cryptos is the new binaries. Just whatever they could sell crap of, they would rush out to sell crap of. And whatever unregulated thing that they could find, they would go out and market it and try to sell crap of. Like Bitcoin, Rhino, Ethereum.
Boner pills.
Boner pills. I don't even understand that. It's on the blockchain. Does that mean if I take one, that everybody who takes one after that gets an erection and it's recorded on a public ledger? What the hell are they talking about?
Pretty good tie-in.
It's like, hey, Bob just got an erection. Well, now Mike did, and it's attached to Bob's. And now Stafford did, and it's attached to Mike's, which is attached to Bob's. And it's all in the public ledger.
This is porn for artificial intelligence. That's what this is.
I'm so confused.
So this exasperates me because there is legitimacy, and
I don't want all my erections on the public ledger. Be a big ledger, no pun intended.
You're gonna need some penicillin then.
Oh, I've got a supply. Don't you worry your pretty little head, Stafford.
So
I've got that covered.
Oh boy. This went sideways quickly.
Hey, you wanted humor, you got humor.
And then we have breaking this morning, Bitcoin's price tanks after report China may shut down exchanges. So China's regulators are planning to further crack down on digital currency. Local outlet, I can't even, CAIXIN, how do you say that? Haitian is reporting the Asian countries plan to shut down local Bitcoin exchanges, according to Google Translation. Chinese regulators announced a plan. This is just further on the ICO. Now, there's a lot of confusion about this. They're just going to. They were clarifying though that you can still use it for person-to-person exchanges and to buy goods. They're just cracking down on some of these exchanges, and there have been some fraudulent exchanges in China. But this is the whole thing. I guarantee there's going to be more news that comes out. I don't know, but what I was saying is I think we're going to see more instances of this rather than less instances of this where you have some shocking news out about regulation of aspects of these cryptocurrencies. And since they trade very momentum-based, they move very quickly. That's why you should trade them with stops in place. Also, although that doesn't necessarily help when they're moving super fast, but it does if they decide to rapidly plunge. Like, let's see, before this, Bitcoin was trading about 46.16, and it traded all the way down to 42.11, and now it's back to 4,400. That's some pretty decent volatility.
Yeah, that's some good moves.
So
Saw a guy on LinkedIn talking about you needed to buy the dip in Bitcoin because the stock market is crashing. Everyone should also know that these things aren't necessarily related just because they potentially could happen at the same time. And the stock market currently is not crashing. But go ahead.
Well, even every time you see a drop in Bitcoin, this is what I love on the Twitter sphere and on the YouTube sphere. It does drop, and is it crashing? It's every pullback's not a crash.
Right.
But you see everything. I see headlines going back like gold drops like $20. Gold's crashing. Everything. If anything pulls back now, it's because like crude. I saw crude today, which is down as we're talking 1.89%, and something rolled by on my Twitter feed. Crude is crashing. What? Can we stop with the crashing stuff, guys?
Yeah, people.
By the way,
crazy.
the Bitcoin exchange Coinbase, which is the most popular one in the USA, has officially hit 10 million users this week.
Smaller than I thought.
So 10 million is pretty good size, though.
No, it's not bad, but it's smaller than I would have thought, considering how many they offer on there.
We've had a lot of economy stuff this week.
We have had a lot of Fed speak this week.
Yeah, let me just go through some numbers real quick. Factory orders are down 3.3%. Expectations of 3.3% down. Capital goods orders, non-defense aircraft, up 1% versus 0.4% expected. Wholesale inventories came in at 0.6% versus expectations of 0.4%. Wholesale sales down minus 0.1% versus expectations of positive 0.5%. So that was a big miss. The GDP Now model just showed up from the Atlanta Fed. They are projecting the GDP growth in the third quarter to be 3%. So that is up. Then we have a lot of Fed speak. We have Beige Book. So that was anything that caught your eye on Fed speak?
Yeah, the continued theme of we have to be careful with rates, but the market already knows about the balance sheet, so we're going to go ahead and do that. This is something I think the Fed set up for a long time ago. Whether it was deliberate or not, I don't know, but the most poignant one to me was Robert Kaplan, who again is saying that the market is aware that we're going to start reducing the balance sheet or balance sheet normalization in September, and rates are where they are, right? As a matter of fact, rates are melting down. Treasury prices are melting up, right? You had 202.5 last night on the 10-year note.
Now, I'm going to talk about that in my what segment.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so 202.5 yield on the 10-year note with the knowledge that the Fed is going to be buying less. Now, they're probably going to announce the program of balance sheet normalization at the September 19th to 20th meeting. And since the last meeting and since Jackson Hole, you've seen more and more Fed governors, Kaplan, Lael Brainerd, Bill Dudley, governors and presidents, saying things like, well, we need to be careful on rates. So now, lastly, we've already talked. Actually, I was about to go into my why. So that's what I'll say about it, because then I'm going to talk more about it in my why.
Kashikari, or Cash and Carry, says the stock market correction has less chance of triggering a crisis than a housing crash.
He's wrong on that.
Yeah. So
he's wrong on that.
Brainerd came out, pay careful attention to underlying inflation before raising interest rates again. Quote, my own view is that we should be cautious about tightening policy further until we are confident inflation is on track to achieve our target. It would be prudent to raise the federal funds rate more gradually.
How do you do more gradually than frickin' once a year?
No, they did twice, haven't they?
All right. Yeah, they did.
Look,
they did twice this year.
They're ramping it up.
They did once in 2015, once in 2016, and twice this year.
The Meister, Fed's Meister, he's the Fed Meister.
Mester.
I like to say Meister.
Loretta Mester. It's a woman.
I like to say Meister.
I know, but it's not a he. Let's agree on that.
Okay, I do agree with that. But it doesn't sound Mester. I like to say Fedmeister. Doesn't that have a ring to it?
It does have a ring to it. So it sounds like one of those old claymation Christmas movies.
Yes. Mester says she is comfortable raising rates again this year. William Dudley said Thursday that recent inflation weakness is unlikely to deter him from supporting more rate rises given the economy remains robust and overall financial conditions are moving in the opposite direction of central bank policy aims. Although this morning he came out and said hurricanes could impact interest rate timing.
So you know what else he said in addition to that? What he said today was a hurricane is likely to boost GDP down the road, which, I mean, he's technically correct. It just seems a little, a little crass right now to kind of talk about that. You've got people dying and people losing their homes and stuff, but it is true. Like, when there's a natural disaster, you borrow growth and you pay it back later because people aren't going out and spending because they can't, right? Even things like energy. I mean, people are not powering their air conditioning without power. So economic growth dips. But then when you get that economic growth back, you get excess growth from rebuilding. So I almost did my why again. Go ahead.
We had Stanley Fischer resigned this week, yes. Effective October 13th.
So how many openings we have now? 3?
Yeah.
2 or 3. And
3.
We're likely to have an opening in the chair as well.
Yes.
I'm now betting Yellen's leaving.
Everybody's leaving. Like, we're out.
Yeah.
Now, that was sort of unexpected.
Her and Fisher are very close.
Yeah, so, the Fed's beige book was rather upbeat. Did you have any comment on the beige book?
No, I didn't. They don't agree with it, so. No, it was upbeat. I mean, it showed growth in a lot of quadrants, and it was a very positive one. But also, like, the beige book to me wasn't news. You know, to me, the news was the ECB this week. The beige book was almost a non-event.
Oh, well, let's go to currency and international markets. ECB kept the rates on hold. They see QE running until the end of December or beyond if needed. They see the rates at present level well past the end of their QE program. And then you have Draghi comments. What was your take?
Mario Draghi commented that he won't comment on the level of the euro. That was his comment. The omerta continues. Those of you who don't know what omerta is, look it up.
What's omerta?
It's basically the code of silence in the Italian mafia. You make an oath called omerta, where you say, if you ever speak, you know you're going to die. He just doesn't say anything. Yeah, no. But he did say, the one question that he answered that was insightful was, one reporter asked him, because he raised his GDP forecast for the EU and lowered his inflation forecast for the EU. And one of the reporters very smartly asked him, what level of euro US dollar did you use for those calculations? And he said 118, which we subsequently ran away from up into the 120s right after he said it. So, a stronger euro obviously helps European GDP and also reduces inflation, because the EU is very, very import-export heavy market, and the euro buys things cheaper if it's stronger. So that lowers prices. So it hurts inflation and helps GDP.
Perfect. So are they ever going to really wind down QE?
Yeah, they have to. But he keeps referring to the autumn. We're going to talk about it in the autumn. What are your guys' plans? How are you going to do it? Well, we did discuss that. We discussed discussing it in the autumn. Now, I've been walking around downtown Chicago all week. It feels like autumn to me. But I guess this meeting didn't qualify as autumn. So in the next meeting, everyone is expecting him to come out with some sort of details on what, again, they call balance sheet normalization and a pulling back of accommodations. So they don't call it raising rates. They don't call it ending QE. They're saying removing some accommodation yet they will still stay very accommodative. They're scared to death of hurting the economy. EU has the strongest developed economy, and I almost did my why again. Go ahead.
You know what time it is?
What, is it time for my why?
It's time for you to do your why.
Today's edition of The What and the Why is brought to you by Motive Wave Software. Motive Wave Software is a well-established developer of easy-to-use, full-featured charting, analysis, and trading software built for the individual trader. Motive Wave offers the best charting tools used by the pros, such as Elliott Wave, Fibonacci, Gartley, Gannon ratio analysis, but it's presented in a very easy-to-use way. Motive Wave has a product to fit any budget and any trading style, and one of the very best features, it's available on Windows and Mac. So go to pathtradingpartners.com right now to get your 14-day free trial, and then visit them at motivewave.com.
My why is basically the relationship between yields and the ECB and the Fed. The U.S. central bank is no longer the most important central bank in the world, in my opinion. It is now the ECB. And the interesting thing about that is the markets pay very little credence to anyone else on the European Central Bank other than Mario Draghi, which makes Mario Draghi much more important, much more powerful than Janet Yellen, especially if she's a lame duck, as she's now starting to be assumed that she is. Now, Janet Yellen will still begin the reduction of the balance sheet before she leaves. She may do a lot more before she leaves. She may raise rates once or twice. But we put stock in things that Bill Dudley says, and Lael Brainerd, and Loretta Mester, and Stanley Kaplan, and formerly Robert Fisher, who is the Fed vice chair that resigned. But the European Central Bank is much more important now. You look at the level of the euro and what it's been doing. And Donald Trump was on record of saying that he liked a weaker dollar, and if we are actually moving to a more business-friendly government, you could see that continuing. You could see the idea that, well, let's replace the two Fed governors we need to replace, plus the Fed chair potentially, with people that are more dovish and keep the dollar weak. Mario Draghi is in the biggest trick bag I've seen since the Fed was in the same trick bag, where you've got this strong euro that is pushing import prices down and raising export prices for the EU, yet the economy continues to be strong because no one is as strong as them. Now you blend in with that now the Fed has cover with the natural disasters, both on the U.S. Gulf Coast and to a certain degree in Mexico, because of the amount of trade we do in Mexico. There was the 8.1 Richter scale earthquake this morning. And the Fed now has cover to do nothing and leave the dollar weak if they so desire to do that by saying, we're getting a temporary slowdown with the two, possibly three hurricanes, and so we're going to leave rates the same. And it already seems like the market's anticipating that, with the 10-year going down to almost 2%, 2.024, I saw last night. I don't know where it is now on the yield, but that's in the wrong direction, given that the Fed is going to do balance sheet normalization. So now it's all about the ECB. Like comments from the Fed, none of that even matters to me that much anymore. Is the ECB going to get aggressive in terms of slowing their own economy down in order to cut off potential inflation? I don't think they will. The other part of that is they're running up against their limits of what they can buy legally. So either the law has to be changed or they have to dial that back. So the next ECB meeting is not only the most important ECB meeting, it's the most important central bank meeting in recent memory, the next ECB meeting. Which I don't have the date of that, but I'll find it before Mike's What is done.
You mean the one in the autumn?
The one in the autumn, yeah. Actually, I'm going to Google autumn ECB meeting.
When the leaves start falling. Well,
he was fun, man. He was fun in this press conference. I liked the whole thing. He was great.
So I've been tracking, these are weekly massive double bottoms that triggered back April 10th for notes and for bonds when did bonds trigger? That's backwards. Bonds didn't trigger till they tried to trigger, but it was a backwards trigger so no entry back on the 17th, but they officially triggered on the 29th of May. Bonds now hit their stop reduction target, or raising the stop target, and got to the 62.5% extension. Still not to the first price target. That would be 159.03. And notes, also, which has already hit their stop reduction, almost hit their first price target of 128.02, but it's pulled back a bit since then. But these things, lots of patience. Never really came that close to our stop, but it back from April 10th to what? This week is the week of the 4th of September is when it started. So they're just marching slowly on towards the price targets.
It's a funny article when I just said I was going to Google autumn. The title of the article was ECB thinks it's not autumn yet. So the next ECB meeting is October 26th, which I guess is officially autumn.
Doing it see, calendar autumn started September 1st, but actual autumn doesn't. The autumn based off what the equinoxes and everything else isn't until September 21st. So they're obviously following the equinoxes, right?
Yeah, I guess, sure. It's
so
autumn. Whatever he thinks is autumn, he's now the most important man in the world.
And if he cites winter doesn't start till officially December 21st. So if we know now going ahead, we know what dates to start expecting.
Right.
But won't they have a couple meetings in the autumn?
They have an October 26th is the next one.
When's the one after that?
November 17th, I think.
So that's still autumn.
Still autumn.
So it doesn't have to be the next one. He could technically say we're still in autumn and we're still working on it.
So funny.
Any other comments?
I'm ready to say goodbye.
You don't want to talk to me anymore?
No, I got to be somewhere in 15 minutes.
That gives us 15 more minutes of chit chat.
Perfect.
You notice how I only mentioned Tesla in passing.
I actually did notice that.
What? I only mentioned the Model 3. Nothing else about Tesla this whole week.
I was loving a non-Elon show.
I didn't mention Elon. You actually mentioned Elon. I did not mention Elon.
Part of my craziness this week, Bob, is I've been trying to get Mike to watch the film Tucker, A Man in His Dream, which is exactly the life of Elon Musk.
Are we going to have the same result as the Tucker?
No, he's produced a few more. The Model 3 could turn into a Tucker, though.
I got to run, guys.
All right.
Good show. Thanks for having me. Oh, wait, I'm part of the show. Thanks for me having you. And we'll talk to you guys next week. Cheers, everyone.
And I'm I'm out too. Bye.